The flashback ended. The camera returned to Emma, standing there timeless, ageless, unwavering. The crowd still sat mesmerized, their faces illuminated by phone screens recording not for TikTok, but for survival. This was more than a performance. It was a lifeline to something truer than the world they knew. Their lives may not have changed, but their souls recognized her. 10 years ago, and the stadium pulsed with the realization that the joke was on them. The singer who made fun of her isn't funny. He never was. But she, well, she was only getting started. Back then, she was young, vibrant, full of life. Cameras loved her, fans adored her, and the industry promised her the moon, stars, everything she could ever want. She was poised to conquer the charts, break records, shatter expectations, and then it all vanished. Overnight, the albums, the awards, the adoring fans, the sold-out tours, the accolades, all gone. The story had shifted. The joke's on us. We made her vanish, but she never truly left. She was right here, inside of us. She was right here, waiting for the spotlight to shift, for the melody to find her again. The present moment crackled with electricity. People cried, screamed, cheered, and thousands of voices morphed into one. Applause thundered through the stadium, shaking its foundations, vibrating the city around them. But it wasn't just noise. It was gratitude. People clapped because she'd touched something inside them, a truth they'd forgotten, a beauty they never knew they missed. And the singer, his silence deafening. No one noticed him slip away. The spotlight found her. The melody found her. The fans found her. The joke became tragedy. His laugh, no one shared it. Her sorrow, everyone felt it. The stage wasn't his anymore. It was hers. The applause surged. The music swelled. The crowd joined her, singing the songs they knew by heart. And so the night unravels. She sang, voice clear as starlight, with echoes of laughter, whispers in the dark, a story untold, a song unsung. In the audience, tears fell, cheers rose, and memories stirred. This wasn't just a performance, it was recognition. The songs, the stories, the emotions resonated. People sang along, finding solace in the chorus. For every tear that falls, a star ignites, a silent vow, a promise in the fading light. On the stage, Emma sang as if her soul depended on it. No hesitation, no doubt, total freedom. This wasn't about fame or fortune. This was about truth. The music flowed from her, carrying centuries of feeling. In the tapestry of dreams, where hearts entwine, a symphony of souls, forever entwined. She poured every ounce of being into the music. Each note carried a lifetime of experience. And the crowd listened, captivated, as if an ancient magic had been woven between them. With every beat of a heart, a story unfolds, secrets unveiled, memories of old. She sang of joy, of sorrow, of love, of loss, of triumph, of hope. The audience swayed, moved, cried, laughed, reliving emotions long forgotten, recognizing feelings they couldn't name. And then a hush fell over the stadium. The music softened, the lights dimmed, and the crowd leaned closer, as if bracing for a revelation. In the quietest hour, when shadows dance, a truth emerges. Given a chance, the final notes echoed. Silence descended. The crowd sat transfixed. Emma paused, her eyes closed, as if listening to a sound only she could hear. Then slowly, she opened her eyes, meeting the gazes of thousands. The crowd gasped. Her eyes shone with newfound strength. And then she spoke, her voice soft but resolute. The story I've carried for so long, the pain, the doubt, the fear, she began, her gaze unwavering. It was never mine alone. It was yours, too. I've been waiting for you to recognize it. A murmur rippled through the audience. People shifted, whispering, their faces pale, their eyes wide with dawning realization. We were all afraid, she continued, afraid to speak our truth, to own our stories. But tonight, that changes. The singer backstage watched, mesmerized, as the crowd responded, realizing with a jolt that he wasn't part of this picture anymore. The story had shifted. The spotlight that once illuminated him now reflected from her. The crowd that roared for him now listened to her. Emma turned toward the giant screens, facing the image of her younger self on display. The past and present merged in her gaze. "This is me," she said, her voice ringing with conviction. "Then and now, and I am whole." The crowd erupted in applause, tears streaming down their faces, the echo of her words reverberating around them. She was whole. They were whole. They were home. The singer stumbled back, knocking over a monitor in his haste to hide. He wanted to disappear. He didn't want to be seen. He had made fun of her, of them, and now she was exposing the truth. He was nothing. She was everything. The screens flickered to life, showing flashbacks from the peak of her career, each image carrying a fragment of her silenced narrative. Awards glittered, fans waved, albums beamed, concerts roared. The audience watched, mesmerized, reliving her triumphs alongside her. The singer slumped against the wall, defeated, the hero of his own story no longer. He'd thought he could silence her, extinguish her brilliance, but he'd only fueled her fire. The story they told wasn't hers anymore. It was theirs. Emma radiated power. "They told me to be small," she said, her voice ringing with quiet strength, "to dim my light so I wouldn't blind them. But I'm done dimming. I'm done hiding." The audience roared their agreement, their voices echoing her defiance. The singer cowered. The music, the lights, the screens, the audience, everything had shifted. Emma commanded the stage, the spotlight, their hearts. The music soared as she raised her hands, as if reaching for the stars. The crowd stood, swaying, singing along. "Let the music rise, let the rhythm flow. For tonight we'll shine, let our spirits glow." The singer sank to the floor, overwhelmed, realizing he was witnessing not just a performance, but a revolution. The audience wasn't just cheering, they were awakening. Emma wasn't just singing, she was leading them home. The night reached its crescendo. The music pulsed, the lights flashed, and the crowd surged, united in song and emotion. Emma, bathed in the spotlight, looked out at the sea of faces, each reflecting a piece of her own soul. "We are the storytellers," she proclaimed, her voice echoing with newfound power, "and our stories will be heard." The singer, overcome, realized the joke was on him. He'd aimed to humiliate, but ended up illuminating the very person he sought to diminish. Emma had risen not just from the crowd, but from their collective silence. She was their voice, their truth, their triumph. As the night drew to a close, Emma stood silhouetted against the stage lights, the crowd's cheers still ringing in their ears. With a final flourish, she addressed them one last time. "This night is ours," she declared, her voice ringing with victory, a testament to resilience, a celebration of the human spirit. The singer, humbled and ashamed, slipped out of the stadium unnoticed, the weight of his actions pressing heavily on his shoulders. But outside, the party had begun. The crowd, energized and exhilarated, spilled out onto the streets, their voices mingling with the night air. Cars honked, fireworks sparked overhead, and laughter echoed through the now bustling city. Emma watched them from the stage door, a faint smile touching her lips. Her mission was accomplished. The joke was on him, but now it was time to tell her own story. She had a new album to release, a tour to begin, and a world that was finally ready to listen. Another image, a boardroom, faces of men in suits, all shaking their heads, same opinions, same dismissive gestures, same cynical smiles. Their lips moved in unison. "She's difficult, too pure, not marketable." In the center of that room sat Emma. She watched them. She saw their distaste, and she felt their judgment like a physical blow. Her hands tightened around the war notebook in her lap. She wanted to speak, to defend her work, to prove them wrong. But as she opened her mouth, she met the gaze of the lead executive. It was cold, devoid of empathy or understanding. It was the look of someone who has already decided and is waiting only to confirm their verdict. In that instant, Emma realized it wasn't about winning them over. It was about doing what was right, so she did. Another image, shattered glass, torn contracts, the sound of ripping paper. The executives left the room one by one, their words echoing behind them. "She's difficult," they muttered, "too pure, not marketable." They said it as if it explained everything, as if it justified their decision. But what they failed to see, what they could never understand, was that it was precisely this purity, this rawness that made her art powerful, that gave her music its depth, its honesty. Yet here she was signing away her rights, her very essence, all in the pursuit of a dream that suddenly seemed out of reach. The next image, a city painted in shades of grey. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months. Emma poured her heart into the new songs. She wrote, she composed, she lived for the music. It was her sanctuary, her solace, her rebellion. She pushed herself relentlessly, honing her craft, pouring every ounce of emotion into her music. She refused to compromise, to dilute her sound. She held on tight to her principles, her vision, her truth. As months turned into years, her music evolved. It carried echoes of pain, yes, but also whispers of resilience, strength, and an unyielding spirit. She sang not just of sorrow, but of survival, of standing tall despite the odds stacked against her. The music industry remained deaf to her call, blind to her brilliance. They didn't see the raw talent simmering beneath the surface, waiting to boil over. They didn't hear the echoes of her pain morphing into anthems of empowerment. They missed it all. Emma continued to pour her soul into her music, unaware that a storm was brewing within her. It wasn't anger or bitterness, but a quiet resolve, a determination born from the ashes of disappointment. She found solace in small gigs, intimate performances, where she could connect with her audience on a deeper level. Each chord resonated with those who understood, who felt the emotions laid bare. Her concerts became havens of shared experiences, a community bound together by music that transcended commercial appeal. The years rolled on, each one etching lines of experience on Emma's face. Yet her eyes, they held the same fire, the same unwavering commitment to her craft. She kept creating, kept singing, kept believing even when the world seemed determined to keep her voice at bay. And then, one fateful day, everything shifted. An old fading star needed a boost, a headline to cling on to relevance, a controversy to distract from his own struggles. And Emma became his target. The social media post went viral, not for the reasons the star intended. Instead of slandering her, the post backfired, igniting a chorus of voices that refused to be silenced. Her fans rallied, not with anger or hate, but with steadfast support. They amplified Emma's voice, ensuring her side of the story was heard. And that's when it happened. The floodgates opened, concert invitations poured in, record deals were offered, not the shallow, exploitative ones she'd been presented with before, but genuine partnerships built on respect and collaboration. Filmmakers reached out, recognizing the authenticity she brought to the table. Suddenly, Emma found herself at the forefront of the industry she'd once thought herself banished from. The irony wasn't lost on her. The platform she'd almost given up on now provided the stage for her triumphant return. Her concerts weren't just performances, they were celebrations, moments of collective catharsis. Each song she sang, whether born of pain or triumph, resonated with an intensity that shook audiences to their core. They sang along to every word, every note, finding solace, strength, and understanding in the shared experience. The stadium roared as she took the stage, a figure both familiar and transformed. Years had etched lines on her face, yes, but they had also carved a determination in her eyes. The microphone wasn't just a tool for her anymore. It was a weapon, a shield, and a friend. As she moved through her setlist, the audience swayed, sang, and cried. The music wasn't just notes and lyrics anymore. It was a shared story, a testament to survival, a celebration of resilience. The crowd wasn't a passive audience anymore. They were participants, fellow travelers on a journey of healing, hope, and self-discovery. Emma's voice echoed through the stadium, carrying the weight of years of bottled emotions. The raw honesty of it all hit home. Her struggles, her triumphs, and most importantly, her humanity resonated with a depth that defied the boundaries of fame and fortune. But then came the moment that shifted the narrative, the point where Emma didn't just sing a song, she delivered a message. In the quiet moments between notes, she spoke, not with bitterness or resentment, but with quiet power. She articulated the struggles, the doubts, the fears, and the hopes that many in the crowd had wrestled with themselves. She didn't just perform that night. She led a movement, a revolution of the unheard, a testament to the power of perseverance. Backstage, the atmosphere crackled with a different energy. Where once there was indifference, now there was urgency. Crew members scurried, trying to keep up with the sudden surge of activity. Stage managers rushed to adjust the lighting, ensuring every nuance of Emma's performance was captured. Suddenly, the hum of machinery and hushed voices were replaced by gasps and murmurs. Cameras flashed furiously, trying to capture not just the spectacle, but the sheer emotional force that radiated from the stage. Hours later, as the crowd dispersed, the stadium bore witness to something profound. It wasn't just a concert, it wasn't just a performance, it was a reckoning. The world had finally recognized what the music industry had long ignored. Emma wasn't just a singer, She was a voice, a beacon of truth and authenticity. The next day, the world woke up to a different reality. Social media platforms exploded, not with superficial chatter or fleeting trends, but with a chorus of voices amplifying Emma's message. Hashtags trended globally, connecting fans, critics, and industry insiders in a dialogue that refused to be ignored. Television networks scrambled to interview her. Magazine covers were redesigned, headlines rewritten. Suddenly, Emma wasn't just a name in the credits. She was on billboards, magazine covers, television screens. Yet amidst the whirlwind, she remained grounded. She didn't succumb to the allure of fame. She didn't indulge in the intoxicating rush of success. Instead, she channeled it all into her work, using her newfound platform to amplify unheard voices, to champion causes close to her heart, and to mentor aspiring artists, guiding them with the wisdom gleaned from her own journey. The singer, once basking in the spotlight, watched it all with a mixture of envy and disbelief. His snide remarks echoed back at him, mocking him, twisting his intent. The silence he'd sought to weaponize had become his downfall. As Emma's star ascended, his own flickered, threatened by the encroaching darkness. Once touted as a prodigy, he now struggled to stay relevant. Gigs were cancelled, endorsements withdrawn, controversies overshadowed his every move. Emma didn't celebrate his misfortune. She understood the fragility of fame, the fickleness of fortune. Instead, she doubled down on her mission, pouring her energy into making a difference. She used her voice to uplift, to inspire, to heal, and in doing so, she created a legacy that promised to endure long after the fading cheers of a stadium echoed in empty halls. The spotlight that once blinded now exposed the hollowness of his achievements. The crowd that once roared his name grew distant, replaced by the soft murmur of memories. In the grand theater of life, Emma's star shone brighter than ever. The silence she once endured became the soundtrack to her triumph. It was a testament to the enduring power of authenticity, the undeniable allure of a voice that refuses to be silenced. And as the curtain fell on the singer's fading career, Emma's encore resonated, promising a legacy that would withstand the test of time.